Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Cricket Coach. Today we are reviewing how Game Week 7 went for all managers and then how my own team did as well before looking ahead to Game Week 8 and who is on my watch list for the weekend. So first of all, let's take a look at how the top managers and top teams did this week. So the team of the week was Hamid, Wells, Bracey, Stewart, Waite, Clark, Fuller, Robinson, Abbott and Dale and Laws. Some very low owned picks in there, such as Waite and Stewart and Laws would have brought really big differential points for you if you had them. So you were probably rocketing up those overall leaderboards if you had one of those players. That was super good for you. And it really shows that there can be some value in some more sort of left field picks, not just the same players making the team every week and every time. There's more value in maybe some low owned picks or some players who haven't done quite as well yet, but still have a lot of potential to go big. However, there was also some more, common players in here too, with Bracey at 20% and Abbott, who was a really popular pick in Game Week 7. A lot of people brought him in. So well done if you had any players on that list, and particularly some of those lower owned players would have done pretty well for you, I think. So that looks like a really good team, really. The manager of the week, however, as for the top manager, it was Matt Ward this week, and he takes the cake with 2,748 points, a huge score. And I have to say, a lot of it came from a really handy 12th player chip that he played. Not sure you can get much better from that chip than 457 points on the bench. I mean, that's really, really good. That's exactly what you want when you play the chip. I think it was a very good team overall too, with some really good picks in there. Really good all-rounders. I think they had great game involvement. That's kind of exactly what you're looking for from your all-rounders, and a really nice bowling lineup in there as well. So not really surprised that he scored very well this week. Maybe a little bit lucky on the 12th player, but you have to have a bit of luck. And it was clearly a good pick this week. A little bit of a templatey team, but he got the decisions right, and that paid off. So nice job there. Well done, Matt Ward. So moving on to my own team. My own team overall, I got 1,940 points, which I was quite happy with, really. 648 game week rank. And I stayed 94th overall, which was quite rogue, actually. I didn't go up or down at all in the overall rank. I stayed at 94th, which is actually kind of crazy, I think. No change in the rank, as I just said. So I'm not sure I can be too upset, especially after a couple of red arrows in a row. I'm still chasing that elusive green arrow. And I think my plans for this week might involve a double captain, and hopefully that will get me into a good position to chase that green arrow. But I think overall pretty happy with the game week. Could have gone a lot better, could have gone a lot worse. Nothing to complain about really. So looking at my team, the batters, pretty mixed bag really. Yates and Harris did almost nothing, but they've done pretty well previously, so I'm not too worried about them. They can stick around. Yates did bowl a fair bit as well, just showing his all-rounder value again, which was really nice to see. The highlight of the batting, though, as you can see, it was Bracey with a great century helping Gloucestershire win what was a classic game. He's had a remarkable turn in form after the first couple of weeks, and I'm really happy that I kept him. Very nearly got rid of him. Ever since I nearly got rid of him, he's done really, really well, so I'm glad I still got him. He got a few catches in there too. But I actually made the right decision keeping Simpson in the wicketkeeper position and putting Bracey just as a batter, because Simpson got more catches. So that was a pretty nice outcome too. Looking at the all-rounders, Holland started fantastically on day one, as I suggested he would in last week's video. But honestly, it was a really strong performance from all the all-rounders again. I think just overall, I said they were the engine room of my team, and this just proves why. They're so good at picking up consistently high points. However, as you can see, there's also one clear weak link in the team. It was Dawson, who I brought in a couple of weeks ago and has just done nothing since. I had the funds for him, but now there are some other avenues I think I want to go down, and players like Matt Henry are taking up a lot of funds in my team too, so Dawson might have to go. I don't hate him as an option, and I think he's really good, and I think he can go and get 400 points next week. In any given week, he can go big, but he just doesn't seem like he's in great form at the moment, and so I think I'll look elsewhere. And I'll get to that later on. But a bit of a shame from Dawson this week. But overall, he's really highly owned and he's really highly captained. So him not doing too badly, not doing too well, wasn't too bad. A lot of players missing out on more points than I did. So that's okay. And then moving on to the bowlers. Starting off with Gordon, who I'm so happy with. Another big haul from him. And for 5.4 million, he's an amazing pick. He's basically an all-rounder who's super cheap and picks up a lot of points. I mean, that's ideal. I'm really happy to have him. And I think he's definitely going to stick around for a while. He's in good form. He's picking up wickets. He's picking up runs. And he looks super good at the moment. Matt Henry, who was my big transfer in this week, he only ended up getting 110 points and picking up 4 wickets in the game. It's not terrible, but it's not quite what I was looking for from someone who's costing that much. I'm going to give him another week, I think, maybe another week or two, and just see if he can get into his stride and pick up some more wickets. But for that price, if there aren't any big hauls on the horizon, if he doesn't return, he doesn't bring those points in for his price, then the clock is on for him. But hopefully he can up that. But it's not a terrible first week. I can't complain too much with 110 points. I thought he bowled well as well, so I thought that was good. Finally, we have the big one, Jamie Porter. It was a really frustrating start watching him open in both innings. He was beating the outside edge so many times. At least he picked up one in the first innings. He got 180 points, which, look, it's not terrible. But when considering who else I could have captained, Barnard, who got 237, or Holland, who got 275, it's a bit of a loss there, which is a shame. I think those 3 wickets he got in the second innings were huge and probably saved my game week from a big red arrow. I try to go a bit differential here. I try to target the fixture against Worcestershire and target Porter. I think he was going to pick up a lot of wickets, and it ended up backfiring a bit. Essex lost that game, which was a classic game, a classic fantasy cricket scenario as well. Captaining the guy when Shane Snater's on the other end, picking up all the wickets instead of my player. But can't do much about that. I think he, as a regular player, I think he looks really good. He's playing pretty well, and however many points, it's still pretty good. So I'm still happy with him. But I think I'll go back to the normal plan of just captaining an all-rounder each week, as I regularly do. I think that's always the best option there. So on my bench, I did actually have some points there. Ethan Brooks picked up 145, but I wasn't going to play him above any of my all-rounders anyway, so I'm not too bothered about that. I think I made the correct decision. He just happened to do better than Dawson, but that's okay. And then the last minute change to get Tazim Ali in as my cheap player was pretty good. I'm just hoping he can maybe hold his place at Warwickshire, because for 4 million when he's playing, that's pretty nice. One concern there is Farhan Ahmed didn't make the first 11 this week, and to be honest, Notts probably could have used him in that first innings against Durham, as they batted pretty big. I wonder what their team selection going forwards would be like. I think he stays in my team unless it looks like they're going to go for Patterson White over him consistently, and he's not going to get another look into the team. Will be a bit of a problem. I don't necessarily see that happening. I think he's a good player. I think they're going to want to pick him, but maybe it's just one to look at. Certainly for me, and if you have him too. Otherwise, I think he's a great pick for a pretty cheap price. Okay, moving on. Looking ahead to game week 8. Looking ahead to the weekend. Who am I looking at? What kind of players do I want to bring in? And to be honest, this week it's pretty boring. I'm just looking towards the top of the points list, and these players are consistently just doing really well. I had Abbott and Hill on the list last week, and I just think they're really good options. I nearly brought them both in last week. I didn't. Again, I'm thinking about them again, and that's why they make the watch list again. But because of that, I've put Josh Davey in as an outside pick if you're looking for someone more exciting. Josh Davey opened the batting in both innings against Sussex last week. He also opened the bowling in both innings as well. Now, I suspect that's because the pitch was a little spicy down at Taunton, and with the Somerset batting opening difficulties they've had over the last couple of seasons, I think they were just trying to get funky. But who's to say they don't do it this week, again against Durham, or bring Davey up the order slightly? Who knows what could happen? And I think it could be a really interesting pick, to be honest. Also, Archie Vaughan scored runs down the order, so maybe they'll just keep him there and stick with this kind of setup they've got going there. He also opened the batting with Gregory, but Gregory didn't bowl at all, so I think for his price, I'm not sure his value potential is quite as high in the all-rounder position. I think Davey could really be one to consider if you're feeling like going outside the box, going and doing something rogue. He could be a really interesting pick, especially if he keeps his spot at the top of the order. Who knows? Opening the bowling, opening the batting. It's a lot of game involvement for a bowler who's fairly cheap. I don't see why not, really. I think that's a great pick. George Hill, spoke about him last week, and another very good week for him. Over 200 points, and he's now averaging 14 with the ball this season. I think my reservations about him from last week are still valid. That an all-rounder averaging 17 with the bat is not ideal, and if the bowling average, which is really hard to keep that low, drops off, then there's little to back it up really in terms of points, and that's always something that weighs on my mind a little bit. However, for the moment, he does look super cheap, and for the amount of points he's getting, it is really really good, and it's sort of difficult not to bring him in my team. I think a 5-4 against Surrey this week. And I've got Dawson there, who I just mentioned earlier, and moving Dawson down to him would free up a lot of funds for moves elsewhere and could be a pretty productive transfer, I think. So it's definitely what I'm considering this week. I don't know if I'm going to go there. Again, it's difficult. He does look really good. He is picking up a lot of points. I do really want to get him in. I'll see how it goes. I think Dawson to Hill could be a pretty smooth transfer, but I'll get to that later in the week. And then finally, Carl Abbott. It is a bit of a sad one, really. He was on my list to be transferred in last week. He was top of the block. It was gonna happen. And then the news of Matt Henry dropped. And I ended up moving and getting Matt Henry instead. And now it seems a little late for Abbott. Another 300 pointer and at 27% owned, that really hurt me this week. He's averaging 16 with this season with the ball, and he looks really good. I really want him in my team, but I'm not sure if there's space. I've got three good bowlers: Henry, Gorvin, Porter. My bowling, it seems pretty stacked, so it might be a battle between Hill and Abbott for one of the all-rounder spots this week, because I want to keep my current bowling lineup. I think it's a really tough decision. Maybe Abbott's a better option than Porter, maybe, or Henry at the moment, and so maybe Abbott gets the pace above Porter, Hill, or Henry. I think it's difficult. I'll get to that in my transfer selection and team selection video later in the week on Thursday when I look ahead to Gameweek 8 and who my team is going to be. But Carl Abbott, definitely one on the list. That is all for today, though. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all soon.